Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo. Exclusively on TuneIn and on Big 12 Studios. He's R.A. Timken on social at RE Sports, ARI Sports. I'm James Westling on social at James Westling. And Taman, our producers on social at
Taman T717.
Taman T_717.
Saying it that way for, 15, 20 years.
We got Anthony producing on the Big 12 Studios side, and he does great work for us. And we have sent him our all Big 12, our Big 12 Today all-conference teams. We've done quarterbacks and running backs, and today we do receivers. And I thought most teams run a 3 or 4 wide receiver set, so why wouldn't we pick multiple receivers for first, second, and third team? And Ari said, what did you say?
I don't understand. Now everybody gets a trophy. Every day he comes in like, how many are we picking? 3. There's 3.
We're picking 1 receiver for first team, 1 receiver for second team, and 1 receiver for third team.
Yeah, there 3 spots for all the positions. I get it. Like, they play 5 offensive linemen on the field. You don't get to pick 15 offensive linemen. We're not doing like, well, BYU's wide receivers number 1. Like, what?
We're going to pick 3 off. That doesn't even make sense. We're going to pick 3 offensive linemen. What is this, 8-man football? Last time, Air Force isn't in the league. 1 receiver. 4 tight ends.
How many trophies are you giving out, James? Man, this is ridiculous.
I want to give some love to the guys that maybe didn't get the credit they deserved this season.
Well, then play better. Produce more. I don't know what to tell you. Be on a better team.
Okay. All right.
How many do you have?
Well, I have 3 today now because that was the assignment.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't even get what you're arguing here, and trying to rationally argue that you should have 3 receivers for each one.
Yeah, I'm building a.
Well, then we do a 9-team,
a second
Big 12
team, and a third team
with 3 receivers each.
Yeah. 11 guys are on the field. I'm building my fantasy team.
James, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
This is not what?
Big Lebowski. Never mind.
Okay, got it.
Okay, can we get on with it?
Yeah.
There's 3 players.
Who's your?
Can we just let's just set the record straight here? Every position group we're doing, there's 3 guys. Okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good to know. Who's your third team all league receiver?
You're like a communist. Everybody gets something, huh?
Who's your third team receiver?
All right, Caleb Douglas, Texas Tech wide receiver. And you can certainly put Josh Cameron in the mix in that spot, but I'm going to give it to Caleb Douglas because of team success. And because this is a guy that I think could have had a lot more production, but because he shared the catches with Reggie Virgil and Coy Aiken and Terrence Carter, like, you think about Caleb Douglas probably being penalized to the fact that there were so many good pass catchers that Texas Tech had, and that they had so great, so they were so good at the running, at running the football. So it's really a multifaceted offense where I think his production was stunted a bit by how good they were everywhere else. So again, Cameron had more yardage and more catches, but for me, Caleb Douglas made more of a greater impact on a team that needed a guy that could take the top off, and he certainly did that throughout the season. Caleb Douglas, my third team wide receiver for the Big 12.
Caleb Douglas has to be massive in the college football playoff. They are going to need his size and his length, and they're going to need a guy to take the top off of a defense for them to make a deep run. So I like the pick. All right, my third team, all Big 12 wide receiver. I go out to Cincinnati in a guy that you talk about, a guy that did more with less, because Cincinnati did not throw the football much this season. In fact, they're bottom third in the league in passing attempts. But Cyrus Allen, the 5'11 senior wide receiver who transferred from Texas A&M to Cincinnati to help their passing game, led the Big 12 in receiving touchdowns with a dozen. He had 12 receiving touchdowns, averaged over 60 yards per game. He's from New Orleans. He had transfer stops at Louisiana Tech and then Texas A&M before landing in Cincinnati. And remember, Cincinnati couldn't throw the football at all early in the year against Nebraska, and then they just gradually got better. Those double-digit touchdowns really highlight his season. I mean, he was a guy that was a big play threat. He's not a big tight end type frame wide receiver that's just posting up in the red zone. Like, his touchdowns were explosive plays, and he's not the number one option in that offense. Joe Royer, their all-conference tight end, is look number one. Cyrus Allen was look number two, and he was incredibly consistent. He's a really sharp route runner, efficient in terms of his catch rate, and he had more touchdowns than a lot of Power 5 wide receivers, Power 4 I should say, and he had the most in the Big 12. That's why I highlight him as my third-team all-league wideout in the Big 12.
Yeah, where'd he go, though, at the end of the year?
Where did a lot of things go for Cincy at the end of the year?
Yeah. For my second-team wide receiver, I'm going with Houston wide receiver Amari Thomas. 59 receptions, 906 yards, and 10 touchdowns, averaging a 15.4 yards per attempt. Second in the conference in receiving yards, tied for the wide receiver lead in touchdowns with 10. So giving you both the volume and the finishing ability. And look, Houston did not have a great pass attack, but he was the dude within that pass attack. Big-time addition. When you think about what Houston's going to lose every year, it seems like in the portal, to add a guy like Amari Thomas who steps in and immediately becomes your go-to guy. Huge year. And he was obviously all coaches, first-team All-Big 12 wide receiver. So shows you just how effective he was in terms of scaring the opposition, where coaches voted for him to be the top wideout in the Big 12. Amari Thomas, number two for me.
Yeah, another guy that had double-digit touchdowns, and he's a great story. He is still super young. Like, I don't even think he's 20 years old. And he played 2 seasons at UAB, but he enrolled early at UAB out of high school. He's from that area, decided to stay home, and he has blown up. So love that pick, Amari Thomas. My second team, all-league wide receiver, I go out to Provo. BYU's Parker Kingston, who coming into the year was known as kind of a gimmicky special teams elite return man, but could he do it as a receiver night in and night out? And again, an offense that didn't throw the ball a lot. He had 848 yards. He had 9 total touchdowns. He had 61 grabs, and when BYU needed him most, that's when he stepped up. He had 7 catches, 133 yards, and 2 scores at Iowa State, which was a marquee road win against an Iowa State team that went 8-4. Against UCF, that game was close at halftime. He had a receiving touchdown and a punt return touchdown, finished with a $126. Like, he had 4 games this year where he went over 100 yards, and they were the 4 games when BYU had to have something through the air. I just love his ability as an explosive play guy. He's very dangerous in space. He's also consistent as a chain mover, and he was one of the top receivers in the leagues statistically as well. So Parker Kingston is my second team All Big 12 wide receiver.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if this list and the statistics show you anything, it's how far the Big 12 has come as a league. Where the Big 12's, bread used to be buttered with the wide receiver position, with the skill positions. I mean, my first team, all-conference wide receiver, is the only wide receiver in the Big 12 to get over 1,000 yards receiving. Eric McAllister. I mean, pretty obvious pick here for first-team all-Big 12 wide receiver in my eyes because, I mean, he lapped the field with 1,121 yards. Again, the only receiver in the Big 12 with 1,000 yards receiving, 64 receptions. So, I mean, basically 5 receptions a game. Like, this is, what a league. Like, overnight it feels like suddenly the skill position is not the greatest aspect of Big 12 teams, and it's good because this is a league built on substance with good offensive and defensive lines at the top. But, man, does this say a lot about where the league is overall?
Yeah, my pick is McAllister as well. He had over 1,000 yards, as you noted, averaged over 93 yards per game. But the thing that stands out when I look at his numbers, 17.5 yards per catch. That's among the top most productive wide receiver yards per catch in the entire country. And a guy that caught 64 passes. Usually the more receptions you have, the lower your yards per catch. And he did both. He averaged over 20 yards per catch last year as the slot guy, and with TCU losing their top 2 wide receivers, I didn't know how he would handle that workload being the number 1 guy. And he showed early on in the year that he was very capable when he had the second most receiving yards in TCU history against SMU, 254 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns in that game. And again, a guy that had 5 100-yard efforts this season. He was a vertical threat. He could catch balls underneath. Had 6 games, I should say, where he went over 100 yards. Many explosive plays for TCU. And even when their passing game kind of disappeared down the stretch, Hoover didn't play his best. McAllister was still delivering consistent results, over 100 yards against BYU, over 100 yards against Cincinnati. He became their only weapon offensively towards the tail end of the season.
Yeah, and again, like the fact that only 1 wide receiver in the Big 12 had 1,000 yards and only 1 wide receiver in the Big 12 had 900 yards. I mean, think about that. How far has the league fallen from a skill position standpoint? And look, it was really good last year when you think about Tetsuo McMillan being a top 10 pick and Jack Bash being drafted, and I mean there were some guys at the wide receiver position out of the Big 12 that got drafted. But what just a crazy year to think about where this conference was just historically and where they are today in terms of that skill position, wide receiver position. Again, only two receivers over 900 yards and only 1 over 1,000. It says a lot about the league. It's wild.
Even running backs too. Like this year, there are 3 running backs in this league that have gone over 1,000 yards. Last year, there were 8.
Well, and, I don't want to diminish with Texas Tech because, far be it from me, I'm the Big 12 homer here, but they didn't play Texas Tech every week, right? Every team did not play Texas Tech every week.
Receivers last year, 7 went over 1,000 yards.
Wow.
This year, 1 so far with Eric McAllister. So we've done quarterbacks, we've done running backs, we've done receivers. Tomorrow, I guess we'll pick 3 offensive linemen. Do we do tight ends?
Sure.
We'll do tight ends this week as well.
We know how much you like to rank your tight ends.
I knew there'd be.
Well, you just said tight end like 15 times. You just kept putting it on a T for me. What was I supposed to do? Not take it?
You weren't paying attention. That's why I had to say tight end 17 times.
I was paying attention.
Steve Bartle, see if he pays attention. The Utah reporter for KSL Sports joins us next to talk all things Kyle Whittingham. What does the future look like for the Utes as we head west? This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo.